Some people will hate you not because you did wrong, but because you shine without their help. Adeola was like the morning sun, soft and warm, with a smile that could melt a stone. She was very beautiful, but more than that, she was kind, quiet, and hard-working. Everybody in the village knew her as the girl who always greeted the elders, helped the weak, and gave her last piece of yam to a hungry child. Her father, a brave farmer, had died just a few weeks after she was born. Some people said he was poisoned because of jealousy. Her mother, Mama Ronke, raised her alone with love and prayers. They didn't have much, but their small mud house was always clean, filled with the smell of fresh herbs and peace. But not everyone loved Adeola. Her uncle, Babatunde, her father's elder brother, didn't like her or her mother. He believed Adeola's father didn't respect him enough when he was alive. Since her father died, Babatunde claimed most of the farmland left behind, saying it belonged to him. Every market day he would stand tall in front of the family land and sell the biggest yams planted with her father's sweat. In the same compound, Babatunde lived with his wife and 4 children. They treated Adeola like a stranger. They mocked her clothes, laughed when she walked by, and sometimes poured dirty water near her door. But in that house there was one light, Tomiwa. Tomiwa was Babatunde's youngest son. He was different. He liked Adeola and always tried to defend her. "She didn't do anything wrong," he would say. "She is our blood." But whenever he spoke up, his elder brother Jide would slap him or push him away. Jide especially hated Adeola. He said things like, "You think beauty will save you? You'll still end up poor like your mother." But Adeola never replied. She just smiled and went on with her work. One day, news spread in the village that a wealthy trader's son came back from the city to look for a wife. Girls dressed in their finest wrappers, wore beads, and even cooked sweet food just to get his attention. Babatunde's daughters went every day to the trader's house, laughing loudly and showing off. But something unexpected happened. The rich boy, Sei, didn't look at any of them. He was walking past the stream one evening when he saw Adeola washing clothes, her wrapper tied neatly, and her face glowing in the evening sun. She didn't even know he was watching her. She was humming a song her mother used to sing. That moment stayed in Sei's heart. Days passed. Sei began to visit her mother's compound. People talked. Babatunde's wife hissed loud each time he came. The whole village was confused. Why would a rich man like that be visiting a poor widow and her daughter? But the drama was just beginning. One night, Babatunde called a secret meeting in his hut. "We cannot let this poor girl shine. If that boy marries her, she will rise, and we will look like fools," he said. His wife nodded quickly. Jide banged the table. "We must stop it. She's not better than us." But Tomiwa heard everything. He ran to Adeola's mother and warned her. Mama Ronka held Adeola close and prayed that night with tears. "My daughter will not be disgraced," she whispered. The morning dew still kissed the yam leaves when Adeola and her mother stepped into the farm. It was their daily work, their only way to survive. Mama Ronke would dig, and Adeola would plant. Side by side, they worked like sisters, their laughter sometimes louder than the birds in the bush. Even the trees in the forest seemed to know Adeola. She walked through them with grace. Her clothes were always simple, but the way she tied her scarf, the way she greeted the land before placing her feet, even the wind respected her steps. That same morning, While mother and daughter were busy clearing the grass, Sei came to visit. He wore a fine shirt and held a small basket of fruits. But when he got to Mama Ronka's house, it was empty. The door was locked, the firewood cold. As he was about to leave, Baba Tunda walked by with a fake smile. "Ha ha ha, Sahi, the son of the great trader. What a surprise! Come inside my house now. You can't just pass like that." Before Saya could speak, Baba Tunde had already led him to his compound. He called his wife, and she quickly served hot pounded yam and egusi soup with chilled palm wine. "Please eat," Baba Tunde said. "My daughter prepared it. She's the firstborn, a good cook, very neat and very educated." Saya smiled politely and ate. Then Baba Tunda leaned closer and said softly, "But tell me, who are you looking for?" Saya wiped his mouth and answered, "I came to greet Mama Ronke and her daughter, Adeola." The moment he mentioned that name, Baba Tunda's face changed, just a little. But he still smiled. "Ah, I see," he said slowly. "Adeola is a fine girl, yes. But let me tell you something, man to man." Saya listened. "You see, Adeola and her mother, I don't want to talk bad about my late brother's child, but it is my duty to protect young men like you. They don't have good history. They like to pretend. Mama Ronka is not what she looks like. And Adeola, she's always pretending to be humble. But if you enter that family, my son, you may regret it. They don't like people like us." Saya frowned a little, but Baba Tunde quickly changed the tone. "Anyway, you're a man now, a wise man. You're thinking of the future, and I respect that. That's why I say, if it is marriage you're thinking about, you need a wife that brings something to the table." Then he smiled and pointed at his daughter, Morenike, the one who prepared the food. She was standing at the door with shy eyes. "She is not only beautiful, but smart. She finished her WAEC with flying colors. And her cooking? You just tasted it." Say nodded slowly. "Thank you, sir." They exchanged numbers before he left. Days passed. Say stopped coming to Mama Runka's house. No word, no greetings, just silence. At night, Adeola sat outside, looking at the stars, wondering if she had done anything wrong. She remembered the way Saya used to smile at her like the sun smiled at the earth. She didn't understand the silence. Her mother noticed her sadness. "My daughter," Mama Ronke said one evening, placing her hand gently on Adeola's back, "if someone truly belongs to you, he will come back at the right time. Don't rush. Don't cry. Let time reveal the truth." But things were changing faster than expected. People in the village started seeing Sei and Morenike talking, laughing near the river, sitting under the mango tree. They even walked to the market together one time. And one bright afternoon, a small crowd gathered to wave goodbye. Sei was leaving the village, and Morenike was going with him to the city. She entered the car in a fine dress, holding her small bag. Baba Tunda stood proudly by the side, smiling as if he had just sold gold. Mama Ronka watched from afar. Adeola stood behind her quietly, her hands trembling, but she said nothing. The road dust rose as the car drove off. Tomiwa and Adeola were like sun and moon, different, yet always together. They sat in the same class, SS3, and everybody knew they were close. Tomiwa liked Adeola. You could see it in the way he looked at her when she talked in class, or when she laughed while solving hard math questions like it was a game. Adeola was the kind of girl teachers prayed for, brilliant, respectful, and humble. Some even said she was the brightest student in the whole community. Every time there was a tough assignment or test, students would gather around her after class begging, "Adeola, please explain it to me again." And she would smile and say, "No problem. Let's go through it step by step." At home, she and Tomiwa studied together often. Sometimes they would sit under the mango tree or inside her mother's small parlor. Mama Ronka liked Tomiwa too. She would cook for them jollof rice, yam porridge, or hot eba with okra soup, and smile as they ate together. But not everyone liked what they saw. Baba Tunde, Adeola's wicked uncle, didn't like the way Tomiwa always came around. He would shout at his own children, saying, "You! Can't you people be like that girl? Even that Tomiwa is always following her like goat." But no matter what he said, Tomiwa didn't stop. He believed in Adeola. Then one day, a miracle happened. Adeola was offered a full scholarship to study in the university abroad. It was not just any scholarship. It was big, international. The school said she was one of the best they had seen. The village rejoiced. People danced. Women ululated. Even the headmaster brought cola nuts to Mama Ronke to say well done. But in the middle of the joy, a seed of darkness grew in Baba Tunde's heart. He sat quietly in his room, hands on his head. This girl again? She's flying higher than my own children. What if she becomes rich and powerful? What if she remembers how I treated her? She might come back from me. Jealousy and fear mixed in his belly like bitter herbs. Then he planned something unthinkable. One morning, Mama Ronke cooked rice and beans for Adeola, kept it in the kitchen, and went inside to sweep the parlor. Baba Tunde saw the food left alone. He entered quietly like a thief and dropped a strange black powder into it, something deadly, silent, and fast. He stepped out, pretending to go and fetch water, but God does not sleep. A few minutes later, Tomiwa came to visit, holding a textbook. "Good afternoon, Mama," he greeted. "Afternoon, my son," she replied. Adeola smiled and welcomed him in. "I've made food," she said. "Come and eat while I check something for Mama." Tomiwa took a spoon and started eating. Just as Adeola was about to join him, Mama Ronke shouted from the parlor, "Adeola, my leg! Come and help me!" Adeola dropped her spoon and ran in to help her mother, holding her up with both hands. But behind her, a voice screamed, "Adeola, Adeola, my stomach, my chest. Ah!" She rushed back. Tomiwa was already on the ground, struggling to breathe, his eyes rolling, his mouth foaming. Adeola knelt beside him, tears pouring, calling his name. But in minutes, he stopped breathing. The food, the poisoned food. She shouted for help. People came. Baba Tunde, too. When she told them what happened, Baba Tunde looked around and suddenly changed his voice. "Witch! This girl and her mother are witches. They have killed my daughter." He raised dust with his shouting. "They want to silence my family. This is how they've been hiding under holiness to destroy people." Some villagers, in confusion and fear, believed him. He took the matter to the village elders. No chance for explanation. Even though the medicine man checked and said poison killed the boy, Baba Tunde turned everything around. "This is their doing. They poisoned the food." In the end, the judgment was harsh. Adeola and her mother were banished. They packed their things. No one came to say goodbye except a few silent eyes watching from behind windows. But Adeola didn't look back. She had cried enough. Now her eyes were dry. When Adeola reached the school she struggled for, she met heartbreak waiting at the gate. One of the women at the admin office looked at her with pity in her eyes. "My dear," she said, "we're sorry. The scholarship, it's been revoked. It has been given to someone else." "Revoked?" Adeola repeated, her voice breaking. "Yes, we heard disturbing reports about you, something about poisoning, witchcraft. We cannot associate the school's name with such." Adeola stood there, frozen, like a tree without roots. Her dreams, the ones she carried all the way from the village, scattered at her feet like broken clay pots. She walked back to her mother with heavy steps. She couldn't even cry. Her soul was tired. Back home, her uncle Baba Tunda laughed loud any time he saw them. "Which way one go abroad?" he shouted with mockery. "Now so devil they wear white cloth go church. God done catch una." The mockery continued. Some neighbors joined him in whispers. Even the children repeated the insults. It was during one of those heavy days as she walked along a dusty path that a soft but cracked voice called her. "Sister, Sister Adeola." She turned. It was Obinna, poor, rag-wearing, scrap-picking Obinna. His clothes were torn, his feet bare, and his hands stained from metal and waste. Most girls avoided him like plague. They called him dirty boy or waste picker. Some said, even love feared to enter his life. But that day he greeted Adeola. He never expected a reply. To his shock, she answered, "Good afternoon." She didn't walk away. She smiled. That smile melted something in Obinna's chest. From that moment, they began to talk. Not about the village, not about pain, but about hope, dreams, a better tomorrow. They sat under the mango tree behind the old church, where no one disturbed them. Adeola would say, "I still believe something great will happen." Obinna would reply, "One day I'll build a company that will turn waste into wealth." The villagers laughed. Some said, "See witch and waste picker? Perfect match. Poverty done find him wife, make them born children of misfortune." But Adeola didn't hear them. Her eyes saw beyond rags. Her heart heard what others could not. Years passed. Love grew like a strong tree beside a river. Then, one day, Obinna knelt with a simple ring. "Adeola, will you marry me?" Without blinking, she said, "Yes." The news flew like dry harmattan breeze. "She want marry waste picker? A no get house, a no get car. How she one take survive?" Olamide and Damilola, two girls Obinna once admired and tried to talk to, decided they would attend the wedding just to laugh, not to bless the union, but to mock it. The wedding was small, no DJ, no canopy, just borrowed chairs, a borrowed gown, and rice cooked in one big pot by Mama Ronke and a few kind neighbors. Some villagers gathered, not to celebrate, but to watch the show. "This wedding go funny die," they whispered. Then, just as the couple exchanged their simple vows, a man walked into the compound. He wore a clean black suit, dark shades, and shined shoes. The atmosphere changed. He stepped forward slowly, looking at the crowd. He carried something in his hand. The wedding compound grew silent. All eyes turned to the tall man in black suit who just entered. His shoes were clean like city glass, and his voice carried command. "Please," he said, "who is Mr. Obinna?" Obinna, surprised, raised his hand gently. "I am." The girls that came to mock Olamide and Damilola now sat up. Their mocking laughter died in their throats. The man smiled. "My name is Mr. Grant. I work with an international NGO that supports innovative recycling ideas. I was directed here by some village men. They told me about your wedding." Obinna and Adeola were confused. Mr. Grant continued, "We went through your proposal. Your plan for converting scrap into sustainable building materials is brilliant. The passion in your pitch showed us your heart." Then he opened a file, placed it gently on the small wooden table near them. "This is a partnership agreement. We are ready to fund your idea. You'll be provided with a house in town, an official car, and a full working facility. Your share as the founder will be higher." The crowd gasped. Olamide dropped the drink in her hand. Damilola bit her tongue in shock. The same man they said didn't deserve love now owned what many dream of. Adeola's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't tears of sorrow. They were tears of vindication. Obinna held her hand tight. They stood tall, surrounded by the same people who once mocked them. Back in the city, Sei, Babatunde's son-in-law, was tired. His wife, the same Babatunde's daughter, was always chasing men, dressing half-naked on social media, and spending his money anyhow. He brought her back to the village in shame. Babatunde sat quietly on his wooden chair. He had already been hearing whispers about his daughter's ways, and his son, once quiet, was now chasing girls and smoking around the village. He sat every evening, staring into the sky, no words. His heart was heavy. All his children were falling apart. The only one who showed promise, Tomiwa, was gone, poisoned by the very hand he used to destroy another. He thought he crippled Adeola's future. But now she was blossoming, married, successful, respected. It became too much for his heart. Days later, Babatunde slumped. He survived, but the stroke left his right side weak. His tongue was heavy. In the quiet of his shame and pain, he called for Adeola and her mother. They stood before him. Tears ran down his old cheeks. My children," he stammered, "forgive me." He wept. "I poisoned the food that day. It was meant for Adeola, but Tomiwa ate it, my own son." Silence. I also killed your father long ago, out of jealousy, because he was doing better than me." He broke into heavy sobs. Regret tore through his chest. Adeola and her mother stood quiet, shocked, but they didn't curse him. They didn't pour insults. Instead, Adeola stepped forward and held his hand. "God will judge," she said softly, "but we forgive you." That night, Babatunde wept like a child. Months later, Obinna and Adeola moved to town. Their recycling company was booming. They built a small community school and health center back in their village, free for the poor. Olamide and Damilola, they now worked as cleaners in the very company they mocked. Life had taught them the hardest lesson. Moral lesson: never look down on anyone because of where they are today. Life is a journey, not a destination. Jealousy is a poison that destroys not just others, but the soul of the one who carries it. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it builds a better future. When love is real, it sees beyond struggle. It sees destiny. What do you think about this story? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Like if you believe in true love, share this tale with someone who needs encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe to Tales by Foxy for more powerful African stories. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful.